Hello, I would like to invite Meredith Bergmann to come and read a poem. And the poem was a poem written by José Edmundo Reyes, who's born in the Philippines and is an Eastern Massachusetts teacher educator who is also a longtime Modpo person and a poet, and who during the pandemic, I'm not sure this is a pandemic poem, but Dan can decide that, during the pandemic wrote this short poem and published it. And so I invite you to read it, and then I'll ask Dan to look at it as well. I've done a photograph of this poem to illustrate what I think the poem means as it appears in an iPhone or on an iPhone. So I just thought I'd add that. Okay, Meredith, you read it twice for us?
Type. To see these characters only as sculptures arranged on shelves of the thinnest glass.
Read it a second time.
Type. To see these characters only as sculptures arranged on shelves of the thinnest glass.
Thank you, Meredith. Will you show the poem to Dan? Dan, whenever a Modpo poem has the word these in it, especially when italicized, we know it's a meta poem.
That's true. Like occupation, this.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this poem because I would never have thought of lines as shelves,
Yes.
but of course that's what they are.
So poems can be sculptures, and in fact characters can be sculptures, yes?
Sure, he invites us to look at the letters individually, and he
Nessica?
anthropomorphizes
Yes.
them by calling them characters. The thinness of the glass means that they are not separated from us by that much, and also gives a precarious delicacy to the whole thing.
Wow, Dan. What does the word type mean? It means many things, but what would you start with?
It's the verb that got the characters onto the shelves. It's the kind of thing it is, and it's the specific kind of lettering that we are being asked to look at. Yes, I would.
Want to?
Yeah, we'll get to it. Come on. I guess that's a start.
It is more than a start. It's great. What about the glass? So what is the glass actually referred to, Dan? Is this a bookshelf with glass on the front of it?
The screen of the phone.
The screen of the phone. So books are the screen of the phone is kind of like a fourth wall, right? And if you don't pierce it on a phone, you touch it, and behind it is a world of letters and sculptures.
It's so also in the touch screen I showed you this morning, where I touch a letter on the glass and it pierces my isolation.
Oh man, that was a great reading just now. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about your touch screen as well. So how does it feel for you, Dan, to touch a screen and to have words form meanings as you choose with your finger? Is that a new feeling?
It's completely new, and I don't know yet how it feels. I would like to believe that the feeling depends on the content of what I write, but that's not true. It makes my heart race no matter what I type.
So your finger enables a machine to be part of your creation of words. Different from the spelling board you're using now, I think.
That's right. The spelling board depends on my helper's shared attention. Shared attention is great. I think everyone loves it, but it's especially valuable in piercing autism, but on the touch screen I am my own interlocutor, something typically developing people experience from early childhood, but it's new to me.
So you've already commented on this. I would call it a kind of phenomenology of the glass. Rather than, you use the word piercing, but you don't want to shatter the glass. So the glass there's a sensitive, touching relationship between you and what's on the other side of that glass.
That's right.
Even though it's thin, you don't want to break it.
You have to be gentle. You also have to be deliberate. My father took his watch off because of the time I was playing with it, and it called the police.
The police, yes. I heard about that.
It's the ableist paternalism of Apple
Oh my
that
God.
dared to do that.
Dan, that's phenomenal. I love it. Okay, so now I'm gonna do a MOOC reading of this, and I want you to react to it, okay? Bear with me. So, you're talking about an individual cyborg relationship. Dan has a machine that through the finger, it's almost a Michelangelo-ian God finger, there's a, right? There's a Sistine Chapel-ness. The finger allows you, as someone who depends on Dad and has a longing for self-sufficiency with making language, right? But, that's an individualized reading of this. What if the MOOC consists of an imagination, an image of a world of people, all of whom are relating to each other in the MOOC by touching their screen. That is to say, piercing the isolation that is very dramatic in your case. Everybody uses the thinnest glass to pierce isolation and to connect in some, I don't know how to draw it, maybe a sculptor can sculpt it, of many, 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 many thousands of people using the finger to touch each other. How did I do?
That's really
What to?
lovely, but distinguish it from a Twitter or X post, please.
Will do. What I'm looking for is interactivity of people who are isolated to some degree or other using the finger to touch the thinnest glass. Dan, thanks. That was a really great reading of a poem by a friend of ours.
It's also a many-to-many
Yes.
relationship.
Yes.
So it's a good way to think about the MOOC. May I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
Do you think Modpo is
Cookie. Cookie is cookie. Cookie is cookie. Cook oily cookie.
I'm beginning to see the animation by the artist. Do you think Modpo is fragile?
Like the thinnest glass?
I did boy.
Exactly.
Yes, I do. I happened to watch just this morning. I was wasting time on the internet, and I watched a video of Steve Jobs in whatever year, 2007, when the iPhone came out. And he announced the iPhone. And there he was in his black turtleneck, and he was holding it up. And it was a big deal. If Steve Jobs were around today, you and I,
Cookie.
I've seen that.
yeah, you and I would have to tell him how fragile the many-to-many relationship is based on everyone's relationship with their finger to this screen. And I'm not just referring to the fact that when the screen cracks, Apple makes a whole lot of money because we have to repair it.
I think you're right. That's because he was talking about using it to find sushi in San Francisco.
Which is a good thing, by the way. On the other hand, yeah, I mean, in the same way that Coursera, bless their hearts, did not, they wanted to make something so robust and strong that it wouldn't be wouldn't require the gentility that you and I are talking about now, the delicacy.
That's right. Maybe for machine learning courses, that's a good idea,
Yeah, good, right.
but not for the humanities. Did you ever see Michael Roth's modern and postmodern Coursera course?
I saw some of the videos and actually had a long talk with Michael Roth about it. Why do you ask?
It just seems like the kind of humanities you would get without what you bring to it.
And ironic too, as much as I like Michael, ironic that the president of Wesleyan, which is a school devoted to seminar-style interaction, would produce a one-way DOA lecture thing.
I have two.
Berries.
Come on. Come on.
Push.
I have two memories of it. One is being unable, as someone who had just learned to type a few years previously, to process Judith Butler,
Oh,
and the other is of how much I liked Cornell West.
fascinating.
That's all I remember from
It's Oreo.
that course.
Dan, I'm going to invite anybody who's watching this video at this point to go to week 3 of ModPo Plus to watch a conversation that we are about to have about Wallace
I'm
Stevens'
bored.
13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird and Eugene Ostashevsky's 14 Ways of Looking at a Translator. But we're going now to turn the cameras off, and I want to thank you for this amazing conversation that we've had. Thank you so much, Dan.
That's been my pleasure. I am only now assimilating how much you have been wrestling with the
Okay. 1, 2.
whole MOOC phenomenon and trying to fit it into your picture of the world. I may want to talk with you about this further.
I hope we do, year after year. I'm not the only one who feels admiration, appreciation, and love for you, Dan. After all these years, I'm so happy to be here to talk about this thing we started together.
We got lucky in 2012. I didn't quite realize it right away.
Thank you. Do you think we should thank your father as well, who's been working this board all day?
Always.
Always.
He won't mind.
He won't mind. And Chris and Magda, thank you all, and Meredith for reading poems. This has been just a pure pleasure.